Yo, what's good, guys? Team Rival back in front of the camera. Haircut? Yes, it's rather short, actually. The shortest I've had it in a damn long time. Change it up, summer's coming up. And I'm back with another anime review. This time, another Netflix anime, Gun Sword, or Gun X Sword, or Gun Cross Sword. Whatever, who cares? A decent series. It wasn't the greatest thing I'd seen. I had quite a few problems with it, but I also enjoyed a lot of it. So, let's just get right off the bat, Gun Sword. Okay. Alright, the story revolves around this guy, Vaughn. You can call him Vaughn of the Dawn. What else did they call him? Vaughn the Nice Guy. They called him about 50,000 nicknames. But whatever, we'll just call him Vaughn for safety's sake. And he is a pilot of these mech things. And his mech, it's a long, convoluted backstory as to why he needs this mech to survive. But he needs this mech to survive. And he's out for one thing, of course. Revenge. Revenge against this guy called the Claw. Toy Story reference, anyone? But the Claw, alright, I won't do that anymore, is, this mysterious man. They really build up, who is this guy going to be? And he's out to get him. He just wants to kill him because the Claw killed his wife. Vaughn's wife, and this was, in the past, and now Vaughn is out, and he wants to get this guy and get him good. And along the way, in like the first or second episode, Vaughn meets a girl named Wendy Garrett, and Wendy is looking for her brother, because her brother lived in this town with her, and then he was abducted by the Claw. His name is Michael Garrett. And so Wendy teams up with Vaughn out of necessity because they're both, looking for, the same common purpose to find the Claw, or in Vaughn's case, kill the Claw. So that's pretty much the whole premise of how the story goes, is Wendy and Vaughn going out, and they're always one step behind the Claw for most of the anime. They catch up with him a few times, but they meet a whole bunch of, like, the Claw. The Claw has a lot of friends around the world, and you don't know who's a friend and who's a foe, and you kind of keeps you guessing like that. But thankfully, Vaughn and Wendy have quite a few people that they meet on the journey to that join their side. There's the El Dorado 5, which is these 5 old guys, and they pilot like this Megazord-looking thing, and I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, take a page right out of the Power Ranger book. Carmen 99, who is like this information trader, who helps them find the Claw along the way and gives them tips, and they run into her quite a lot throughout the series. This guy named Joshua, who, he's like this little kid, about Wendy's age, I'd say. Wendy's a rather young kid, while Vaughn is probably in his 20s or his 30s. Wendy's probably about 12, I think. I don't even know. She's young, but Josh is a little bit older than her, and he is looking for his brother Ray. And Ray, just like Vaughn, they're pretty much exactly the same as each other. They're, basically a splitting image of each other aside from actual looks. They have the same purpose, is to kill the Claw, because the Claw also killed Ray's wife. So they, Josh is with them, joins up with them to find Ray, and they have a few other smaller, this girl Priscilla, and a few others that join up on, but really those are like the main people that you'll see a lot of during the show. And so a few things that I liked about the show is they really built the Claw up to be like this menacing, like evil person, and it turns out in actuality that, well, I really don't want to spoil too much of the show for you, of course. He ends up being like the complete opposite of what you were expecting. And when I first saw the Claw, I had no idea it was the Claw until the show told me it was the Claw. And I was like, oh shit. And he really doesn't have too much of a backstory. I think they say his name once in the series. I'm not sure though. But I think he's related to another evil guy in the show. I'm pretty sure, but they don't tell you too much about his, like, why he's doing these things, what his past was. They tell you, like, a few things, but it's very, like, seldom what they tell you. And he just kind of is this person who has a lot of, like, mystique, and you don't really know anything about him. And that was kind of cool, because most of the time, when you're watching a series, you'll just get so much information on everyone. And in this series, it's only 26 episodes long, so you don't have time to be building up every single character. And that also kind of leads into something I didn't really like too much, is that a lot of these episodes, while it's kind of a good thing, it's also kind of a bad thing, is that they really focus more so on the supporting cast. Vaughn is pretty much a one-dimensional character, really. He's mostly out for revenge, and that doesn't change throughout the whole entire show. He has a few more elements to him that they try to develop, but really, the more developed characters in the series end up being like Wendy, and Karma 99, and Josh, because you really find out a lot more about them, and they play a lot more of precedence in the series. Of course, Vaughn is the main character because he's the one with the mech, and no one else has a mech aside from the El Dorado 5 and Priscilla. But he's just there. I think Vaughn, as like, he's the main driving force of the series, and he's the whole reason the series is going. I mean, he's a cool character, don't get me wrong, but he's very, very plain, I think, in terms of, and stock. I think stock is a good word. He's a very stock main character. You know, he just, I wasn't too big a fan of him. I liked him. He was cool, I mean, but it was just, I felt like he had been done before in different ways, and I thought that was a little bit disappointing. And it kind of goes for all the characters. Wendy and Carmen and Josh, they all feel like characters that have been done in animes before. Really, the only original character to me was the Claw and like a few of the Claw's closest allies. I thought those were the most original characters, and you really don't see that too much in animes when the most original characters turn out to be the bad guys, which you're not really focused on. You're supposed to be focused on the main guys. But, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. In terms of like actual like fights and animations and music and all that stuff, music was music. Animation was animation, but the fights I thought were pretty cool. They're all based around mechs, of course, so you mostly have gigantic like mech battles going on, and a lot of the battles were cool, if not a little bit short. There were a few longer battles, but they usually could whip through a mech battle in less than 5 minutes, and really, I felt like the mechs weren't a necessity in the show. They could have fought with like race cars, for Christ's sakes. Like, I didn't really think the mechs were that important of a part of the series. I mean, there was, you know, the mechs do play an important part later on, but I felt like that was just, oh, you could have done anything. You could have made it spaceships or whatever the hell else. You didn't really need mechs in that situation. So mechs, I really wouldn't classify this as like a mech anime, such as like Gundam Wing or Evangelion, where the mechs are like a really prevalent part. The mechs just play like a semi-important role here. They you know, it didn't really matter that much. They could have, you know, made the series and changed like a few elements and made it about something else, not with mechs. So, what else to talk about? I thought a lot of like I said, a lot of the bad guys were actually pretty cool. I liked Michael Garrett. He was cool, if not a little bit of a faggot. Fossilina is this girl. She's also, they're called the Original Seven. For whatever reason, they're called the Original Seven. It's a long, like I said, it's a long, convoluted backstory. Another thing I want to say is they really tried to build up a backstory in this anime, but I felt like they really didn't like piece it together so cohesively, so there were like gaps. Like, I don't know why the Claw killed Vaughn or Ray's wife. I have no clue. Might have been because they were like researchers on some project, yada yada yada. And maybe that was a reason, but I was just like, it was a little weak in my opinion. But, I mean, you know, when you're only dealing with 26 episodes, you really have to make sacrifices, I think, in terms of story sometimes, when you're trying to accomplish so much in so little amount of time. So, I mean, I really like a story with a nice, full, like, fleshed out background, which Berserk, I think, did very well. That had a nice backstory. You knew everything that was going on. This left me scratching my head at a few moments, but, you know, overall, I thought it was, you know, the backstory, while it's important, it's not an essential part of the story. Of course, the most important part of a story is the actual, like, main story. And while I said it was a little weak, I think overall, as a package, it really kind of tied itself up nicely at the end, and it was the last, like, 5 or so episodes were really like they were coming. You could see it was coming down the tracks towards the end of the tunnel, and it started to get really intense. And there was a lot of cool fights and effects going on. And you were finding out, that's when the story kind of started to tie itself together. Was at the end, and I thought that was pretty cool. And if I had to judge it in terms, like I said, I don't really like to judge things on a scale. So maybe I'll just compare it to the last anime I reviewed. Better or worse than Speedgrapher? I have to say it's worse than Speedgrapher, just based upon the fact that Speedgrapher was more of an original concept, and I felt, a lot more of a connection to those characters because they felt like original characters. Whereas, Wendy Garrett was a pretty stock character, Vaughn was a pretty stock character, Carmen was a pretty stock character, so on and so forth. And I mean, overall, you could probably go without watching this series, but if you want, a cool excuse me, a cool anime just to watch in the meantime while you're watching, something else, just like a side anime, Gun Sword or Gun X Sword or whatever the hell you want to call it, I'll just call it Gun Sword. Definitely, I think it's at least worth a watch, for the very least. I actually started watching, for my next anime, I'm going to review, what is it called? Shit, it's on, something with a P. Oh, fuck, I can't remember. It's, it just came out there recently. Yokorama had recommended it to me, and I've been watching it. God damn it, why can't I remember it? But whatever, that's probably going to be the next one, or Blood Plus, or maybe Casser and Sims. I'm looking for something more beastly, because the last 2 animes I've watched have been, like, kind of lukewarm, and I want something that's hot. That's when oh, it's Phantom. Requiem for a Phantom. That's what it's called. Jesus Christ, I'm almost going to forget that and kill myself. Yeah, so that's the next one I'm probably going to review. I've been watching, I'm only a few episodes in. I tend to watch anime at a slower pace just because I don't like to spend a whole block of my day watching anime. I usually flip on an episode or 2 as I'm going to bed and kind of just, watch it then on Netflix, of course, while I'm all snuggled up. But, yeah, that's probably the next one I'm going to review. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. I think I covered all the bases, really. Nothing in my head that really sticks out. Like I said, kind of just a lukewarm anime. Watch it if you feel like it, watch the trailers or whatever, see if you like it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Whatever. And that's it, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Team Rob Alive is out.